Have you ever felt invisible at work? Like your voice doesn't carry any weight because you don't have a formal title? I'm here to tell you that that doesn't have to be the case. You can be a leader. You must, in fact, be a leader, even when you don't have a title. And in this video, I want to share with you 3 ways to do that because throughout the course of my entire career, the last 20 some years, in all sorts of different roles, I've never really had a formal leadership title. Yet I've still had to influence and persuade and move others to action, get people to listen to me. And today I want to share with you 3 strategies that have helped me, and I know that will definitely help you. The first strategy is simply to become a great communicator, to hone your interpersonal communication skills. And that means become a better conversationalist. That means become better at just listening, interacting, engaging with others. Because if you can communicate effectively, you can express your competence to others. And when others can see your competence, then they're going to afford you much more opportunity and much more respect than if you're not able to do that. The second strategy is another communication-based strategy, and that is simply to get good at public speaking. Developing your ability to give presentations, to run meetings, even though you may not have formal authority, you may not be the manager or the supervisor. When you develop the ability to do this, you show others that you have the capacity to lead, although you don't formally have that formal title. And you do this by volunteering for opportunities whenever they arise to lead meetings, to run teams, to join interdepartmental groups or teams, or to volunteer to give presentations that your team has been working on. You do these, again, you highlight your communication skills and your leadership competencies. And even if you're a shy individual, even though you're an introverted individual, these are skills that you can develop, that you can turn on when you need to, and then turn off and go back to your otherwise reserved self otherwise. That's what I do. I'm not a huge extrovert at all. I'm a very strong introvert, and I can turn these things on. I've developed the ability to turn these things on when needed, just simply through practice. The third strategy is through the course of time, develop the reputation of being highly competent in your field, highly competent at your job. And even though you may not have the most glamorous job, be the best that you possibly can at it. Become an expert in that area. And then you combine that with communication, where you communicate that to others in conversations, or that comes out in presentations that you give, or you share insights during meetings. Developing the ability to not only have strong competence in a field, but then also be able to persuade others and show others that you have that competency will develop your reputation. And that reputation will enable you to influence others even though you don't have a formal title. And then perhaps over the course of time, it will lead you to a formal title. It'll lead you to opportunities of advancement. The bonus tip is to hone your executive presence. And that means develop your ability to capture people's attention when you walk into the room just by how you carry yourself, just by how you stand, just by how you look, just by how you communicate. And you do this 2 ways, short-term and long-term. Short-term is you walk into a room, people look at you, they make a first impression of you. That first impression, let it be strong. Let your executive presence be strong. Stand tall, look people in the eye, communicate clearly, initiate conversation, right? That's the way to create strong executive presence, strong initial impressions in the moment. The second is develop your executive presence over time. Remember that others are always looking at you and seeing what message you're communicating to them through your actions, your behaviors, how hard you work, how you communicate with others, how do you treat others, how you approach work, what time you leave. And they're looking at all this, and this forms a mental picture of who you are in their mind, essentially your reputation. That reputation can be seen essentially as your executive presence. It's part of how people see you. And so a way to develop that is simply to imagine who you believe would be a great leader, or who you'd like to have as a leader of you. And then embody some of those traits, embody those characteristics intentionally, practice them, apply them. Maybe it's standing up tall. Maybe it's speaking assertively. Maybe it's arriving late, early all the time. You do these things over the course of time, people see it. And those intentional acts, those deliberate acts of developing these skills will ultimately become instinctual behavior. It'll become part of you. And then by default, you will have natural executive presence. And maybe eventually it'll be seen as charisma. So there you have it. Hone your interpersonal communication skills, develop your public speaking skills, develop your competency in your chosen profession, And then lastly, hone your executive presence. You do these four things, you will no longer be invisible at work. You will be seen by others, even though you don't have a formal title. And this may ultimately lead for future opportunities where you will be given leadership billets like supervisor, manager, executive leader, whatever your aspirations are. If you found this video useful, visit my website at www.johngodoy.com, where I have many more different courses that I offer. You can peruse things from conflict management to enhancing your influence to communication skills mastery to boosting your resilience. All these different courses that I offer for individuals as well as organizations.